faculty, trustees, and administrators visit Sheela for global engagement. Mr. John Berline, Emeritus Trustee, Drury University, USA, his friends, Mr. Grant Allen Grimes, Mr. Thomas Amati, Mr. William David Vaughan, Dr. Chris, Professor, Drury University, and many other dignitaries. I extend a hearty welcome to all of them who would now be interacting with all our Sheelites who aspire to go to Drury for pursuing their higher studies. I am sure that this enlightening session would surely help our students to achieve their goals and to get great recognition locally, nationally, and internationally. May I now request our Principal Madam to say a few words at this moment.
Thank you, Piali Madam, and again on behalf of the entire Sheela family, I wish all of you, my dear students here, a wonderful, healthy, much time here and going into other things. I think we directly address the issue on which we are here today, and that is as we want to Founder President, every one of us like to see more of us to just enlighten us, and especially to the parents, send our students there and see how they can. Thank you, and I request Dr.
I encourage you to look at Drury and apply to Drury. I can tell you that there will be every international student, first of all, receives a scholarship of some level, but there have been Sheela specifically for Sheela Learn with What You Do, action and learning. We used to believe a long time ago that learning came from a lecture. And we don't believe learning comes from lectures. We believe learning comes when students get together and work on a project. And we have a lot of people on the bench here. And I would like to ask them to help me to respond to questions. The last thing I'll say is that there are schools that you can look at on the West Coast and the East Coast. Those schools are often strange places from my vantage point in the United States because they are places that have a lot of conflict right now. You read about it over freedom of speech, things. But if you're looking for a school that's safe, where student read may be the right place for you. So what I would like to do, is encourage you to go.
What about political science and international relations?
I'll answer that one because I have a PhD in political science and about the academic program or about the environment or about the culture. Specializes in international negotiation, diplomacy, and a couple of people who specialize in American politics. The students at great universities in the United States.
That's not what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be a lawyer, or maybe become a politician and help the country. And what I discovered by keeping an open mind was that there were some other fun things that you could explore, and that's the fun of the university. You get a chance to scientist at Washington University, where I am on the board, and we had the presidential debates on campus. And I want to dispel for you the notion that when university you need to go down one channel. That's the wrong way to approach this opportunity in your university life. You want to experience everything that you possibly can, and that will actually help make you a better, well-rounded student, a well-rounded citizen, an appreciation for the arts. Drury University is not a technical school. It's a liberal arts school, okay? And what we believe in the liberal pursuit of the truth in a lot of different channels, okay? So when if you're thinking about coming to Drury because you just want to be a scientist, or you want to be a business person, that's the wrong approach, because we want to create people who have an appreciation for all the arts, all the sciences, whether they be fine arts or hard sciences. We want you to be well-rounded, because think about how much change has occurred. When I look back in the 40 years it's been since I graduated from Drury, the world has changed in remarkable ways, and if I didn't have that broad liberal arts background, I wouldn't have been able to change with it. And so the amount of change is accelerating, so the amount of change that you're going to see in your lives is going to be far greater than the change that I experienced. So what you want to do is have the broadest foundation possible so that you may change your channel, your path in your life many times, but you want to lay the broadest base of education that you possibly can be. The Kinjal Majumdar, the first graduate that came through Drury University, he wasn't sure what he wanted to be. He ended up being, he's studying medicine and becoming a doctor at the University of Missouri right now. But he did the liberal arts program, and then he went to Washington University and did some research-focused academic studies there before he figured out where he wanted to be, more in the genetic molecular scientist area, and now is going on to become a doctor in that area at the University of Missouri. Anish Chakrabarty, some of you may have taught Anish. He wanted to come to the United States, get an education so that he could dominate the world. That's what he told me. He said, my objective is to dominate the world. I said, Anish, let's narrow it down a little bit. But he got his, he was #1 in his class. #1 in his class, was the class president. But he had it figured out pretty early on that he wanted to be an engineer. And so he graduated from Drury, got the broad liberal arts education, came to Washington University after he graduated, got his engineering degree. Now he works for an engineering company in Ohio, state of Ohio, and he's getting ready to transfer to Canada. He's doing a lot of work for Amazon, building factories and infrastructure for Amazon distribution companies. So he didn't have that in his head when he first came to Drury, but that's the path that he took. Cheyenne Petra, some of you know Cheyenne.
Yes.
Also went to Drury, bright student, was the top of his class. Came also to Washington University, got an engineering degree. Now he's an aerospace engineer for Boeing and works in St. Louis. He's about to get married to Anushree, his childhood sweetheart. Did you all know that? Yeah. But they didn't come to Drury saying, I want to be this or that or this. They wanted to embrace all of the opportunities. I think Swapna Neil Nath, Swapna Neil wanted to be a business person from the first day he stepped foot on campus, and we weren't able to switch him around. But now he's going to Pittsburgh University to get his master's in business, and he wants to teach. So
Actually, John, he's getting his PhD in economics.
Economics.
And he's focusing on behavioral economics. Very interesting, because he wasn't doing straight finance, but he got interested in behavioral economics.
So the point, I'm making this story far too long, but the point of the matter is, if you're coming to try and find a technical school at Drury, you got the wrong impression of what we're all about. We're trying to create, much like they do here at Sheela, give you a broad appreciation for life, community, public engagement, civic engagement. We want to create a broad base of understanding of how the world works so that you can go out and be contributing citizens to a global community. And you may specialize after you come to Drury, but if you want to get a broad appreciation for knowledge, that's why you come to Drury.
Thing to what John said, you might come to Drury University and you might become a political scientist, but by coming to Drury University and all these things that we have to offer, you will be a better political scientist.
You've got other opportunities.
Let me ask
parents a question. I know that you have the potential to send your child a long way away. You can ask us a question that's uncomfortable. Will we keep your children safe?
Yes.
Will we keep your children safe? How do we know that we will keep your children safe? And you can ask, will they receive personal attention? Will they receive personal? Will we know their names? Don't you think it's interesting? Stand up, John. John Berline is not a member of the faculty. He is not a member of. He's on campus maybe twice or 3 times a year, and he knew the name of every single student and what they were doing. Do you think we won't keep track of them? Plus, we want them to give us money someday. Also, we have a president, and this is a very unusual thing. We have a president that's here today. I encourage you to ask him the most uncomfortable question. We go the direction of prayer. Here's a man with a heart to make a difference in the world, and that includes bringing your students so we can learn from them. It's not about us teaching your students, it's about your students teaching us. And when you come to jury, and I hope you'll come to jury, don't you come empty-handed. You come bringing what you know. We need to learn from you. We need you. And that's the reason we want you.
Yes, Rupan, say.
What's the talking about that medical sciences in Drury University? What are the achievements of Drury University in terms of medical sciences?
Well, Ravinda or Mark, you want to answer that? Mark is the pre-medical advisor at Drury University.
I'm the director of pre-health sciences at Drury University. And about 90% of the students that apply to medical school at Drury get into medical school. So we have a tremendous record. But as was mentioned earlier, and I can't overemphasize this, students come thinking they want to be something. They want to be a doctor, or they want to be a lawyer, or they want to run in here. What we find at Drury is that students change their direction because they find their passion. So a great example of something you might do as pursuing medicine. What if your real talent is management of medicine? What we need in the world today is people that can take care of the whole medical enterprise. Who has access to who has access to healthcare? How do they get that access? So the leaders of our hospitals, do you understand? That's a great country. And one of our graduates is the chief executive officer of one of the largest hospitals in Springfield, because that was his passion. So yes, we have a very good connection and a very good success rate in helping our students achieve their dreams in healthcare, in all branches of healthcare. Did I answer your question?
Thank you, sir.
Rupan, would I tell you something here? I just add here a little bit. Our education system has it.
Yes.
10 plus 2, and then you go for engineering or medical. It's not the system there. You do the undergraduate course for 4 years, and then you go into the medical.
Yes, I will say there's a couple of exceptions to that. That we do have a program with Washington University where you can do 3 years at Drury and then transfer to Washington University, and you earn in 5 years your engineering degree and undergraduate degree. Also, we have other programs, architecture. You can become an architect with a master's degree in 5 years. We have other what we call 3-2 programs. So we're establishing one for the MBA. We will have others, Mark, I think.
You can be a doctor in 7 years.
You can be a doctor in 7 years. You actually, can you talk about the early matriculation program?
Yeah. Yes, we have several programs at Drury with several different medical programs. And the basic idea, if you qualify, is that you go 2 years to jury, and then you get an interview. And if you get an interview and you succeed, and you will get an interview, once you succeed, you're guaranteed a seat in medical school. You go 2 more years to jury, but you go to medical school and you're guaranteed that seat. Is that clear? And we have one of our most interesting programs is you only go 3 years to jury. And then you transfer to medical school. Your first year of medical school counts as your 4th year at jury, so you get 2 degrees. So we have a 7-year program for people that want to, and we have many students that do that. Thank you.
Dr. Wood, it was he went on to get PhD in immunology?
Yes. Yeah, he's getting he's PhD in immunology, and he's also getting his medical degree now.
So you can.
You go ahead. Well, I'm sorry to say they were just pointing out that Kinjal, one of our early people from Sheela, is actually a PhD already, but then is also getting his MD. So he will be an MD PhD and probably teach you when you go to medical school. You want to go to medical school, right? He'll probably be your teacher.
He's going into research.
Oh, he is?
Last time I talked to him, he said he was going into research.
Okay.
So, is there a department for pursuing studies in music?
Music.
As you said yesterday.
Yes, music, there is a department. We have music, but we have different kinds of music you can major in. You can major in music therapy, where if you wanted to study music and you wanted to study psychology and how music is therapeutic, and you wanted to work in a hospital and go from room to room and share music with patients. We have a program that you can do that. We also have a program in voice. We have programs in different instruments. So we have music programs. I'll also say, I'm president of Drury University, but you can't major in presidenting anywhere. So my major was political science, but also my undergraduate major was philosophy. And I pursued that because I was passionate about it. So we want you to pursue your intellectual passion, and parents, I want you to know that we're going to make sure that they're marketable, that they can get a job. And the way we're doing that, and we're putting this in place at Drury right now, is that we're creating something called micro-credentials. Those are certificates. So in addition to your major, you're going to be guaranteed to earn 2 micro-credentials. So that means you could major in philosophy and get a certificate in data analytics, or search engine optimization, or artificial intelligence. So I'd have a philosophy major because that's what I'm passionate about. And then I would have a certificate program, certificates that would be on my transcript and on my resume that I'd done a project on. So artificial intelligence and philosophy, it makes you much more interesting because it conveys that broad-based depth. And you get to pursue your intellectual passion and not try to major in what you want to do.
Hey, Dr. Floyd, before you sit down, could you say just a word about, like, if the music, if a person was to major in music, often our vocal people travel around the world.
Yes, and we have performance music, so people go out into to perform not just in the United States, but also in Europe and other places. Our choir, etc. Also, we have music theater. So if you want to be an actor. And the interesting thing, students, is if you want to go to medical school or you want to go to graduate school in the sciences, you can double major, or you could just major in, say, music and take the requisite courses for medical school. So that makes you more interesting and attractive to a medical school. If you just major in, say, biology or neuroscience, that's fine if you want to do that, if that's your passion, but major in music if that's your passion. And then take the right chemistry classes, take a couple organic, you gotta take organic, you gotta take this or that to get into medical school. You can do that at Drury and have a music degree, so.
It's a very flexible system.
Sir, would you please tell something about the prospect of studying commerce in Drury University? What is the prospect of studying commerce subjects?
Just stay up there.
We have some graduates here from the Breach School of Business.
Okay.
We have a business school, the Breach School of Business. We call it business, you call it commerce.
Okay.
So what we do in commerce is you have various sub-tracks you can go into. We have finance, we have marketing, we have management, we have accounting, and we have economics. And now we're adding business analytics. So you can major in one of those fields at the Breach School of Business. But also, many of those students double major, so they major in marketing and they have a Spanish major too. So we have an MBA program, Masters in Business Administration, which in commerce is the equivalent of the highest professional degree you can earn. And we're putting in place a 3-2 program where you can earn your undergraduate in commerce and your master's in commerce. But Bill Vaughn and John Berline are both products of our commerce business school.
Tim, so are these guys. Yeah.
And yeah, so are you guys.
Well, and tell them about their success.
Yes, John Berline is one of the top people at Edward Jones, an investment banking brokerage firm, one of the largest in the world in St. Louis. Tom is with that company too. Bill Vaughn became a banker and eventually owned the bank. And he sold the bank recently and reinvested in other things. And he's living in Kansas City. And Grant graduated from Drury and went to Atlanta and became a commercial real estate broker, buying and selling real estate, but also for developers, selling real estate to developers. So they're all great stories of success.
I can tell you that the standards to get into Drury are much higher now than when I.
That's true. Yes.
If I were to apply now, I would not be able to get in, because in high school, C is all I ever got in middle, all the way. But fortunately, I was able to go to Drury, and the degree in business administration, my first job ended up being in accounting, because that was the first place I interviewed, and they said, "You're hired." But after that, I went to all different aspects of business and eventually got over to real estate, which I found to be my true passion. And eventually got out of accounting and started managing properties and then started building properties. But it was because the background that I had gained at Drury gave me enough experience and exposure to all the other aspects of business that it was impossible for somebody to trick me. You don't have such a narrow focus that you're only good at one thing. You can do a lot of things. So it's been very beneficial.
And I'd say we're all lifetime friends. So that should say something about Drury, and you're not a number, you have friends. One thing I haven't mentioned, or nobody has really talked about, is what else do you do there besides study? And I would say that if you are looking for a chance to be a leader, there are so many extracurricular programs in Drury. I was president of my class for 3 straight years.
Wow.
And was on student union board and chairman of that, and John and I were president of the fraternity that we were in. At a bigger school, you may not get that kind of opportunity. So to me, when I think about well-rounded, I'm thinking it's not just academic well-rounded, it's your whole personality, it's your wholeness that you end up having lifted over the 4-year time frame. And I think no matter what you do, go right into the workforce or go on to graduate school, what you learn at Drury will get you where you need to go. So,
not only do you graduate from Drury, you have great friends while you're there. We've kept our friendship, but we also have other friends. And as we get out in the world, there's other people from Drury that became bankers. So I was able to visit with them and learn things from them, talk over problems with them. So what you get at Drury doesn't stop when you leave. It continues giving to you the rest of your life.
Wow, that's great.
You're thinking, am I going to be the only Indian student? And the answer to that question is no, you will not be. because we not only draw students from Sheela, but we have students that apply directly from India. Our current president of our entire student body, Dhruv, is an Indian. And so we have a lot of Indian students at Drury. We want to have more. And I'm going to be working with some people in Delhi that Ravinder Roy is going to help me with, that will be recruiting a lot more Indian students. Lakshmi, do you want to say anything about Dhruv? I don't know the state he's from.
There are lots of students from India, lots of boys and girls both. Many of them are from Andhra Pradesh.
The whole student body.
The whole student body there. And he was my student, and I know him very well. And they are all very happy, and he's of course a bright guy. All this from India are extremely bright, and they had no problem at Drew University. I mean, they just excel like anything, and they're having a great time there, and learning a lot, and getting into a good university, as you know, and doing great. In fact, at Drew University, Mathuri Manapadi, he's from Andhra Pradesh, and he'll be getting a what we call, tenureship. So, and she's one of them.
Yes.
And maybe if you are interested in biology as well as chemistry, she will be the one who will be your mentor.
One thing I can also tell you, Drury,
It can be terrible for your academics.
Well, in any field, whether it is in chemistry, lots of research are going on, and Drury University believes in undergraduate research, the research finding locally and also national progress. And I was very fortunate to start undergraduate research, and I have had about 700 of them. And they publish papers.
Yes, thank you. Yes, we have a pre-law society. We also have a mock court, which allows you to practice your skills at litigation. We have a competition team that goes to mock court competitions across the United States, where schools compete against each other in a mock trial. And one side is the prosecution, one side is the defense. We also have a debate society, a debate union, like an Oxford union, in which students debate each other, and then they go to national competitions. And in fact, our debate team won the United States National Championship this past year in debate. So it's very vibrant. I'll also say you can major in anything and go to law school. Law is a very broad field. You could be a patent lawyer, you could be a courtroom litigator, you could be a contract lawyer, a business lawyer, all sorts of things. So what you major in is not as important as how you develop analytical and critical skills that allow you to do well on the entrance exams.
Yes.
So, yes, the question about
Sir, good morning, sir, and we are grateful to have you here. Sir, as you know, Elon Musk, sir, is a great entrepreneur. In one of his interviews, he said that to the student, you were saying that you don't need an undergraduate or graduate or a university certificate for doing an entrepreneurship. I want to ask you, sir, to what extent that is true?
Yeah.
And if that is so, what's the value of Drury on my resume?
That's a great question. A great question. Elon Musk is a unique guy. Bill Gates went to Harvard. Bill Gates went to Harvard, and he was there, and he dropped out after 3 years. Steve Jobs went to Reed College, a liberal arts college in Washington. He was an art major. And the reason why this iPhone is sleek and beautiful is Steve Jobs was an art major. He dropped out of Reed College, but he stayed there in the dorms for 3 years beyond his dropping out. So he was at Reed for 5 years. And he worked out a deal with the administration where he could pay to live in the dorms and wander around and take classes, but he didn't want to get a degree. So Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, these are unique individuals and you know their names. But do you know who the CEO of Google is? Yes. Where is he from? Bengal, right? He went to Indian Institute of Technology, and then went to Stanford and got a master's degree in engineering, and then he went to Wharton Business School and got an MBA, and now he's the CEO of Google. You know the CEO of Vodafone? The CEO of Vodafone is from Bengal, and went in the Indian Institute of Technology, graduated, went to the United States, and so there are examples of people who are incredibly entrepreneurial. You know, Zuckerman invented Facebook at Harvard while he was a student there. So there are people who are examples like that. But I think Elon Musk may be probably the exception. Pardon?
Sir, he was from University of Pennsylvania, Ivy League.
Yeah.
And then he dropped from Stanford for his postgraduate.
Elon Musk. Yeah.
He was from Queensland, then he transferred to United States, University of Pennsylvania, and then he went to Stanford, postgraduate, and then he attended 2 days, and then he dropped out.
They dropped out, yeah. So there are examples like that, but they're few and far between. There are people who are able, that sometimes they're very lucky. But if you look at Bill Gates, for example, there's a book called by Malcolm Gladwell called Believe, where he has an article called Believe. And Bill Gates, he studied his whole life computers. He was around the University of Washington, his parents took him. But so he's an example that may be the exception to the rule. Do you need a university degree to succeed? I believe that immersing yourself in a university in a residential context is essential for developing the mind in a particular way, because your peers are who you learn from as well as your faculty. So if you look at Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Elon Musk, they were in universities, they dropped out, but they still had that experience of being immersed.
And sir, what's the value of degree on my resume?
Value of degree on your resume is that, number one, it's not just on your resume, it's the network, the family of Drury. These people have been friends their whole lives. So when you graduate from Drury, you get that on your diploma, you graduate into the Drury Mafia. So you could go to the alumni office and say, I'm going to go to New York, or I'm going to go to Los Angeles, or I'm going to go to Seattle, and I need to meet somebody there who can help me get established, get a job, etc. And they say, well, call these 6 people, they're Drury graduates who live in Seattle. So we have graduates in every state in the United States, in many countries abroad, and so we have that network. So the network's invaluable, but also the people know Drury, particularly in graduate programs. Mark, you might want to talk about the relationship between our research faculty and graduate programs and the benefit of having a Drury degree going to those programs.
Well, I'll just say briefly, of course, that we've had at least 7 students in the last 5 years that have gone on to pursue PhDs at some of the best universities in the country. And the reason were because our faculty are connected there. Our faculty are connected there, and those kind of connections are the things. So here's one example. 2 of our previous graduates are on the faculty at Harvard and on the faculty at Yale. So if you're interested in research, I can make a phone call to our alumni and say, I have a person who wants to come and do research at Yale this summer. And they'll say, okay. That's what they'll say. As a matter of fact, that's our standing thing. I love the way you ask your question, by the way. I think it's a fair question. And don't be mad at me for what I'm about to ask you. Okay, I'm going to ask you, okay, You said, what is the value of a jury resume on my, on the jury? And I would ask you, what value you bring to the university? That's the question that we all need to be asking. What are we going to bring that makes a difference in the lives of others? It's not just about what the university can do you ever. And so that's the challenge that I think that's what we do better at Druid anyway. We begin to challenge our students to find out what difference they're going to make in the world and how they're going to change the world. You understand me? Somebody had their hand up, all right? They never got, oh, gee, okay, go ahead. I just wanted you to go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stand up.
So can we discuss a little bit more about the prospect of economics here? Pursuing economics.
Yeah, I think that Chuck O'Neill is the greatest example that
As you know, economics is called a dismal science for a reason. No, I'm kidding. But economics is really, and from my view, is part of the social sciences, but it happens to be located in the business school or the commerce school at Drury. We have economists that are working on metadata analytics. We have economists that are working on big data analytics. We have economists who are thinking about things like cybersecurity. We also have economists who are interested in the new trend in economics and had students go on to get PhD in economics. We also have students who go get master's degrees in things called, like something called, and with applied mathematics, they might go to work for John Berline's company and analyze securities on the stock market and figure out algorithms that help them to understand who's got the better product out there that they can offer their customers to buy securities. So there's a lot of options with an economics degree.
Ken?
I might, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. I was just going to say that all four of us have business degrees.
So my econ, when I switched from being a political scientist, there's a little emotion in there as well, on to, and the value of a jury education also is a good housekeeping seat or career with a financial services company that at the time, in 1970, $1 million a year in revenues, 20 million in revenues, small company. We were about the 8th, and all through my career on the trading desks.
At Drury, and it works in the area of social entrepreneurship. And so what happens is these computer science majors develop apps for not-for-profits who can't afford to develop them and then launch them, you know. So that's really interesting. Here's the apply.
Yes.
Okay, so you have to take the TOEFL, and you have to score decent on the TOEFL. And we've got the list of what those scores are on our website. And then you have how you do here in India with your tests here. And so that's in the community, because you're picking us and we're picking you. And you need to indicate that on your application. There'll be some questions that probably.
You know, and Diwali, right there in Springfield, Missouri. So you'll not miss the social life out there. So rejoice, you know, and we'll take a good care of you. Thank you.
I think what each in an unknown place, in a big palatial house, the President's House of Drury, where I think President Cloyd is there, they were very fortunate enough to stay in that house. And I feel while I was there for a month, even there were people all around moving around, but nobody paid any heed that we were of a different color, you can say, with a different attire. We were all there, but there were no people interfering with us. But yes, the people were very warm, friendly, and they had all these things. Security is very high, so we were very safe compared to what we might feel here sometimes. So for your sons and daughters, I tell all the parents, you can be rest assured that sending your child to such a distant land will not be a problem. Their phone only a phone call away. You have Skype, you have FaceTime, you have everything. And the security, better than I would say, you send them to Delhi, you send them to Pune, Bangalore, you are sending them there. And you will be like always tensed up. But take it, they will be in safe hands. And especially with all people around. We know Dr. Mahmood was there, ringing our bells there. So I was out for a walk, and Moshumi madam, my friend, she was there, so she found a little bit jittery, so she probably did not take the call there. So when later on we come to know that, so that was it. But walking alone on the roads also, I never felt anything, so it was such a safe. It was fresh air that I was breathing in. So everything, the greenery as Dr. Roy talked about, that is there. And the other way, we went to different classrooms at Drury. I attended some classrooms where even Dr. Mahmood was teaching, Dr. Popescu, professor of botany, was there, and she was here a number of times. I went to Dr. Pratima Roy's class, I went to John Cazot was there that time, so we attended multiple number of classes. And what I found there is, I am saying again from Indian perspective, very flexible system. So my students, I tell you, do not what they have been telling you. So don't say economics, political science, commerce, this, that, maths, molecular. Keep it open, it will be much better. Here we are very much restricted. I know I will be studying chemistry only, engineering only, medical only. Get out from it. Get out from it, think something where really you can succeed. I think that would be the reason we were all here. We wanted to hear from their parents. If you have any other questions, we are open to it. But if not, we'll call it a day here. And I think we would see in the coming years more number of parents coming up to ask for SAT, TOEFL and everything, and so that we are there to help you out. I'm always there to answer to my students any kind of recommendation and the process they are on. So we have Ornesha, we had Vinita also who is going to corner. So we are there to help you out, any possible way. So that is the support we give to every student who would like to go on. So thank you all for coming on January 1st. And I think January 1st is a new beginning for a stronger relationship. I won't say a new relationship, but a stronger relationship. So thank you all.
I'd like to make one comment, especially to mothers. 2 female students are supposed to go a few years ago, and my dear friend Dr. Barline provided the full variety scholarship for both of them. Then 2 weeks before their departure, they started crying, mother started crying, and everything went down the drain. But I want mothers to be very strong, and the students, you please talk to your mother, because I know you'll cry before you go by car to Kolkata airport, and mother will start crying. Please think about very hard once you make the decision. Looks like are you strong now?
Yeah.
Okay.
if you're going to have tears of joy. Tears of joy.
So nice to provide 2 female students full.
Will be going, I hope so. So the girl student, we are able to have one of our girl students going there. We always wanted it, that our girls should be now traveling.
Don't
Receive donation. You will be taken good care of.
yes.
I know everything, all respects.
I don't know how to spell.
I didn't want to look anything